37 seconds ago, in a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room packed with journalists, FBI Director Kash Patel's face went from composed confidence to visible panic in the span of a single question. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island, a former federal prosecutor who built his career dismantling organized crime networks, had just asked the one question Patel had been avoiding for 9 months. Who ordered the Epstein files buried, Director Patel? Not delayed, not under review, buried. Who gave that order? The silence that followed wasn't the typical pause of someone gathering their thoughts. This was the heavy, suffocating silence of someone whose entire defense strategy had just collapsed. Patel's right hand moved instinctively to the edge of the witness table, gripping it hard, knuckles white. His 3 attorneys sitting directly behind him exchanged rapid glances, but none of them passed forward any notes. They had nothing. This wasn't a question they had prepped for because Patel had assured them it would never be asked. Let me take you back to how we got to this moment. Senate Judiciary Committee Oversight Hearing, March 14, 2026, scheduled for 10 a.m., standard FBI budget review, routine operational briefings, the kind of session where senators ask predictable questions and FBI directors provide rehearsed answers that reveal nothing. Patel had arrived early, flanked by his legal team carrying briefcases of prepared responses. The first 90 minutes proceeded exactly as scripted. Republican senators praised Patel's leadership. Democratic senators pressed on civil liberties concerns. Patel deflected each challenge with bureaucratic precision, citing ongoing investigations and privacy protocols. At 11:37 a.m., Chairman Dick Durbin recognized Senator Whitehouse for his questioning time. The room's atmosphere shifted immediately. Whitehouse doesn't bring props to hearings unless he's about to destroy someone's career. And sitting on his desk was a manila folder with a small red classification stamp visible on its edge. Senator Whitehouse began with deceptive simplicity. Director Patel, I want to discuss FBI document management protocols, specifically regarding high-profile criminal investigations. Patel nodded, still projecting calm authority. Of course, Senator. The FBI maintains rigorous standards for evidence preservation and case file management. Excellent, Whitehouse said, and there was something in that single word that made experienced observers in the press gallery lean forward. So you would agree that case files related to federal sex trafficking investigations are subject to strict preservation requirements under federal law? Absolutely, Patel confirmed. Those files are considered permanent records and cannot be destroyed or removed from FBI systems without specific legal authorization. Whitehouse pulled a single document from his folder. He held it up briefly, just long enough for cameras to capture the FBI letterhead and official seal. Director Patel, are you familiar with FBI case file reference number CI 2019-8847? The designation for the Bureau's Jeffrey Epstein investigation materials. Patel's expression flickered, a tightening around his eyes, a shift in his shoulders. Senator, I'm familiar with the general case file structure. Yes. Good. Because I want to read you something from an internal FBI memorandum dated November 18, 2025. Whitehouse began reading with prosecutorial precision. Quote, pursuant to Director Patel's verbal instruction, all case materials related to CI 2019-8847 are to be transferred from field office custody to FBI headquarters for centralized review. Access to these materials is restricted to personnel with explicit director-level authorization. Standard case file access protocols are suspended pending completion of classification review. End quote. The room went still. Whitehouse continued, his voice level but carrying unmistakable weight. Director, this memo shows you personally ordered the Epstein investigation files removed from normal FBI systems and placed under your direct control. Can you explain why? Patel's hands were now flat on the table, pressing down as if to anchor himself. Senator, classification reviews for sensitive cases require centralized oversight to ensure proper handling of materials that might compromise ongoing investigations or intelligence equities. Whitehouse didn't pause. Ongoing investigations? Jeffrey Epstein died in August 2019. Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted in December 2021. What ongoing investigation required you to lock down case files 4 years after the principal subject's death and 3 years after his co-conspirator's conviction? Patel opened his mouth, but no immediate answer came. His lead attorney leaned forward to whisper something, but Patel waved him off, attempting confidence. "Let me make this easier," Whitehouse said, pulling out a second document. "This is a witness interview log from FBI Miami Field Office dated June 2019. It documents testimony from a woman identified as Witness 47B who worked at Epstein's Palm Beach residence from 2007 to 2009. She provided names of 17 individuals she personally witnessed at the property. She offered corroborating photographs. She agreed to testify in court." Whitehouse looked directly at Patel. That interview was conducted by Special Agent David Morrison, a 15-year veteran with the Bureau's Crimes Against Children Unit. According to his case notes, he forwarded his report to FBI headquarters with a recommendation for immediate follow-up investigations into the 17 named individuals. "Do you know what happened to Agent Morrison's report, Director Patel?" The color was draining from Patel's face now, visibly enough that even the journalists in the back gallery could see it. "Senator, without the specific file reference, I cannot comment on individual investigative reports from before my tenure." "Before your tenure," Whitehouse repeated slowly. "Agent Morrison submitted his report in June 2019. You became FBI Director in December 2024. Whitehouse pulled out another document. "This is Agent Morrison's second memo, dated February 2025, 2 months after you took office. Quote, I am requesting status update on my June 2019 witness interview report regarding 17 individuals named by Witness 47B. I have received no response to my previous inquiries. The individuals named include persons of significant public prominence, and the witness's testimony appears credible and detailed. I formally request authorization to proceed with follow-up interviews." End quote. "Do you know what response Agent Morrison received, Director?" Whitehouse's voice was ice now. Patel's breathing had become audibly faster, his chest rising and falling in a rhythm the cameras captured clearly. "Senator, I don't have direct knowledge of every communication between field agents and headquarters staff regarding—" "You don't have direct knowledge," Whitehouse interrupted. "Let me refresh your memory." He held up a third document. "This is an email from your office dated March 3, 2025, sent to FBI Miami Field Office Supervisor. Quote, Director Patel has reviewed the outstanding inquiry regarding CI 2019-8847 witness testimony. All follow-up investigative activities related to this case are suspended indefinitely. Agent Morrison is directed to cease all inquiries and forward all materials to headquarters for archival. No further action authorized." End quote. The word hung in the air like smoke. Archival. FBI code for burial. For making something disappear into the bureaucratic void where it would never be acted upon, never be investigated, never see daylight. Whitehouse leaned forward. "Director Patel, Agent Morrison identified 17 individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking operation. He had a credible witness, he had corroborating evidence, and you ordered him to stop investigating and bury the files. Patel tried to recover. Senator, investigative priorities involve complex considerations of evidentiary standards, prosecutorial viability, and resource allocation that—" "I'm not asking about investigative priorities," Whitehouse cut him off sharply. "I'm asking about 17 names. 17 people that a credible witness placed at Jeffrey Epstein's residence. 17 individuals who have never been publicly identified, never been interviewed by the FBI, never been investigated." He pulled out yet another document, and this one made Patel visibly flinch. "This is a letter I received 4 days ago from Agent David Morrison. He has retired from the FBI. He sent me a copy of his original report, the one you ordered buried. And Director Patel, I have read every single page." Whitehouse's voice dropped to barely above a whisper, forcing the entire room to strain to hear him. The witness described seeing a former governor, 2 federal judges, A technology executive whose company has government contracts worth billions, a foreign diplomat, and multiple individuals with direct connections to political campaigns? She provided dates. She provided physical descriptions. She provided details that Agent Morrison verified through independent sources. And you, Director Patel, decided the American people didn't need to know any of this. Patel's face had gone white now. His hands were trembling slightly despite his attempts to keep them still on the table. Senator, classification decisions are made in consultation with multiple agencies and legal advisors who determine that certain information could compromise national security or diplomatic relations if. National security? White House's voice rose with barely contained fury. Tell me, Director, which national security interest is served by protecting a former governor from being questioned about his presence at a convicted sex trafficker's residence? The question detonated in the room. Journalists were typing frantically. Committee members on both sides of the aisle were leaning forward, some with expressions of shock, others with grim satisfaction. Patel sat frozen, unable to formulate any response that wouldn't further incriminate him. Senator, I would need to review the specific case materials to provide a comprehensive response to. You've had 9 months to review them, White House interrupted. 9 months since you ordered those files locked down under your personal control. So let me ask you one more time, and I want you to look directly at these cameras when you answer. White House pointed to the C-SPAN cameras positioned at the front of the room. Because Agent Morrison is watching. Because Witness 47B is watching. Because survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes are watching, and because the American people deserve the truth. He paused, letting the weight of the moment build. Who ordered you to bury the Epstein files, Director Patel? Was it the White House? Was it someone named in those files? Or did you make that decision yourself to protect powerful people from facing consequences? 37 seconds of complete silence. Not polite consideration, but the crushing weight of a man with no defensible answer. Patel's mouth opened, closed, opened again. His attorneys were frozen behind him, offering no rescue. Chairman Durbin was watching intently, making no move to intervene. The entire room held its breath. Finally, Patel spoke, and his voice was barely recognizable. Senator, I cannot discuss specific operational decisions regarding classified materials in an open setting without. Then we'll discuss it in closed session, White House said immediately. I move that this committee schedule a classified briefing with Director Patel within 72 hours to review all materials related to CI 2019-8847, including the full list of individuals named by witnesses, all communications regarding the decision to restrict access to these files, and all contacts between the FBI Director's office and external parties regarding this case. Seconded, came a voice from the Republican side. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, typically a reliable administration defender, had just broken ranks. The shock on Patel's face was complete. So ordered, Chairman Durbin said, banging his gavel. Director Patel, you will make yourself and all relevant materials available to this committee in classified session no later than March 17th at 2 p.m. The hearing continued for another 40 minutes, but everyone knew it was over. The clip went viral within minutes. By evening, legal experts were calling it the most damaging testimony since Watergate. By midnight, FBI whistleblowers were coming forward. By morning, the DOJ Inspector General announced an investigation. Somewhere in 17 different locations, 17 powerful people were making urgent phone calls. And in a small apartment in Florida, a woman identified only as Witness 47B was watching the news coverage and crying, not from pain this time, but from relief that someone finally cared enough to ask the right questions. Sheldon Whitehouse had asked the one question Kash Patel had no answer for, and in 37 seconds of silence, the entire cover-up collapsed.